Right, hello everyone. Hope you're all okay. It's a bit of a funny one tonight because normally I'd have a guest on, but we're in the last week of Q and A's, and so I thought I would do it myself. So sorry, the dog's barking outside at someone. So yeah, I thought I'd do it myself. We've got hopefully a special guest coming on towards the end of the week, but I'm not going to say too much until I've finalised it because I've not it's not been finalised yet. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, I thought I'd just do one ourselves, a little bit self-indulgent, but we do get asked questions quite a bit. So I don't know. We'll see whether anyone wants to come in. I'm doing it on Facebook Live tonight rather than using Zoom because I've not got another person here with me, so I don't need to use Zoom. Hi Lester, thanks for joining us. At least someone's here. Thank you very much. And so yeah, so Lester's commented, so I know that if someone puts a question, I'll be able to read it. But actually, someone did ask a question last night, which I'm going to talk about on a post that we put up. But just regarding the Q&As, you might be interested, anyone who watches this video later on or catches it now, you might be interested to know we've done 22 question and answer sessions over the lockdown period. So we started on the 31st of March with Yola Williams and we went right through. We have been all over the globe. We've been to the Philippines, Africa 4 times, Scotland, England, Wales with various people, India, Brazil, Switzerland and Spain. So it's been brilliant. I genuinely didn't think we'd have such a good turnout, and I didn't realise it would be so popular as well. I knew people would be interested in some of the people that we spoke to. So yeah, we've done 22. I'm 23, and then hopefully on Friday or sometime towards the end of this week we'll have the 24th and final one. But I say final one, because I've enjoyed doing them so much and people have enjoyed the Q&A so much. What I'm going to try and do is from autumn, we'll have a bit of a break over summer. From autumn, we will do one a month every month throughout the year, or we'll try to anyway, because there's loads of other people. As I've done the Q&As, I kept thinking to myself, hi everyone, sorry, those Hazel, Lisa, those you say hello. As I've done the Q&As, I've gone, oh, they'd be a really interesting person to speak to, or some people haven't been able to do it just because time restrictions, they've not been able to fit in with us. So yeah, I've got a list as long as my arm of other people that I'd like to get on for Q&A. So we'll start again in the autumn, but we'll just do one a month, because I have to admit, trying to do two a week for the last since March the 31st has been, it's been quite hard work, and I won't lie that it's been a bit stressful at times. But the people have been absolutely wonderful. We've talked about Philippine eagles, we've talked about peregrines, we've talked about raptor persecution, we've talked about hen harriers, grouse moors, we've talked to people from the RSPB, we've talked to Emmy award-winning cameramen, Helen MacDonald, a multi-award winning author, Yola Williams, loads of people parahawking with Birds of Prey Scott. So it's been wonderful. So I'm well aware of how good it is. So yeah, tonight, maybe for half an hour, depending on who turns up, if anyone's got any questions that I want to ask about Raptor Aid, or if anyone wants to know about what Raptor Aid does, where we come from, what's the thinking behind it, I'll probably go into that anyway and just indulge myself in it. If people aren't asking questions, that's not a problem. Then I'll tell you that. But by all means, stuff is popping up here, so yeah, I can answer questions as they're going on. I hope you've all coped all right with lockdown. I know it's been pretty stressful. I have to admit, one of the things I've struggled with the most is not being able to go out and monitor certain species. So I do a lot of peregrine monitoring in North Wales, and the really annoying thing is I'm not against the lockdown. I'm completely understand the situation, but when in Wales they lifted it to 5 miles. That was the furthest you could travel, and my nearest peregrine site is 5.39 miles. And I've behaved myself. I've stuck to the rules the whole of lockdown. So yeah, I've missed the peregrines this year. But some of you may have seen yesterday I put a post up about barn owls. We've been out and doing some barn owl ringing, a small team of us trying to socially distance as best as you can when you're monitoring boxes. And last night someone asked a question about why we monitor birds of prey, and is there any value in it anymore? Is the disturbance side of things and actually going to nest boxes or nest sites, is it beneficial for the species, or really do we need to rethink what we're doing? And it was really difficult to answer, not because I didn't know what to say, but there's only so much you can put in a comment, isn't there, really, without doing chapter and verse. So my answer was yes, it's well worth it. So as hopefully some of you will know, those of you that don't know, the monitoring that takes place that we're involved in is all governed by the BTO, the British Trust of Ornithology, because we're not only monitoring the nests, but I'm a licensed ringer as well. And so that was part of the question. Actually, the person asked, is there any point in ringing, or in America it's known as banding, putting a metal ring on the bird's legs? And I think there is a massive amount of information that we can gather. Granted, some species you're going to get more information than others. So if we take the barn owls that I was doing yesterday, we know from going to a nest box, yesterday we caught 3 females, adults, in the nest box that didn't have rings on. So they're birds that have hatched out in a nest that's not monitored. They've gone on to breed. They're going to be at least a year old, but we thought one of them was over 3 years old based on some of the biometrics we took. And so we placed a simple metal ring. Now the metal ring, I should have got one out for you really. It's a really thin alloy ring with a unique code on it, and it's a bit like, I always say it's a bit like me wearing these bracelets. You don't even notice they're there. We've placed that on the birds. Like you have to go through a number of years training with how to handle the birds, how to disturb, go to the nest boxes, correct protocols, and then the process of fitting a ring to the birds. And to be honest with you, each nest box we were probably there for less than 15 minutes, 10 minutes probably, putting the rings on, whether there was chicks there, taking measurements and so on. So we fitted these adult females with rings. Also, we fitted the chicks that were in the boxes with rings, and then they go back in the boxes. We don't flush the adults from the box. They go back in with the chicks. And yeah, potentially the adults, we may retrap at that box. We may retrap somewhere else. The advantage of doing it with birds that use nest boxes is you've got a good chance of what we call a retrap. So yeah, the chicks may go on and go into the breeding population, and we may retrap them. Also, they may come unstuck, they may get picked up because they're injured, they may sadly get killed. Barn owls, obviously, we know get killed on roads. And if those birds are picked up and they've got that ring on, we can tell where that bird has gone. But on the ring there is also a website, and you can send in the details, and the BTO will get back to you with the basic details of how old that bird is, where it's travelled from, and so on. And it also gets fed back to us. But the BTO will then use that information, and that information goes a long way into, developing legislation, also goes into scientific publications. If anyone has seen basically the bird atlases that are produced both on a county level and then a national level by the BTO, you'll know what absolutely incredible pieces of science, and the amount of information that goes into that is basically, it's citizen science. It's me other people, you might take part in the garden bird watch that run by the BTO. You might take part in the Nest record scheme. It doesn't have to be ringing. That's all fed into the BTO, and that is all used for science. So yeah, from that point of view, I think it's very valuable. I also think it's really valuable because we work alongside landowners as well. And there's a picture, there's one of my favourite we go to was yesterday, a chap called Bert, a farmer called Bert, and he absolutely adores his barn owls. He pretty much lives for the 10 minutes we're there yesterday to see how his chicks are. And I know some people might say, oh, well, you shouldn't really be possessive over them. But when you're a landowner, you're a farmer and you manage the land and you look after the land with partly the idea that you're going to encourage barn owls and you want your barn owls to nest in your nest box, it's a big deal, and it's wonderful to see. And one of the other things I sometimes do get people say to me is, oh, should you be taking photographs of them? And I think there's a fine line between glory shots of everyone, posing with and letting Bert have that one photograph with one of his barn owl chicks that he spends 12 months waiting to see, essentially, and that's what it is. And he sat there and he asked about next door. How are next door's barn owls getting on? How are so and so's barn owls getting on? Oh, this is I think he said the 18th youngster. Well, there was 3 chicks in his box this year, so yeah, he's really switched on to it, and it's wonderful. It encourages people. The other aspect to it as well, and something that a lot of you will probably see in the news, is HS2. And one of the boxes we went to yesterday, was right next to where the HS2 track is going. And the local barn owl groups have been approached by HS2 to provide them with the information for where barn owls are breeding, and that subsequently, to some extent, will help mitigate against too much damage. I know it's a bit of a touchy subject with HS2 because there's all these emotive videos out there of them cutting trees down, ancient woodlands and so on. So I won't get into a debate about HS2 and what people think of it right here. But yeah, they asked, and that information is provided. They pay for it as well, so money goes back into barn owl conservation. So that's really important. And it's not just big projects like HS2, it's also housing estates, local development. So they will speak to local barn owl groups, and often they will mitigate and put money into barn owl conservation in order to help the species, especially if there's barn owls nesting or breeding near or on land that is sadly labelled for development. So yes, there is a real benefit to it. I did say obviously that with certain species that we monitor in nest boxes, you've got a pretty good chance of a retrap or being able to understand the ring numbers. But don't forget, there's other science that we learn from it. So it's there, as most people know, birds of prey are barometers, what you might call a barometer, an indicator species of how the environment is doing. So barn owls this year, for instance, in the UK, I thought they would have an early year this year. It seemed like it was going to be a good year because there was loads of voles. Certainly in our lawn, there was lots of vole holes. My little dog Teddy was in and out of the grass trying to catch voles, and he still does at the moment. But what we found is a lot of the brood sizes are quite small, 1s, 2s and 3s. Barn owls are capable of having up to 6 and on rare occasions 7. So yeah, they will have quite big broods. What we might see this year is them going again. So barn owls are also known for going for second broods, and so basically they will sometimes early on, if there's a bounce in the vole population or there's plenty of food and the weather stays mild and nice for them, then you'll get them laying their first clutch and hatching their first brood, and then often into August, September, if the weather stays fine, then they'll go again if there's plenty of prey. Even though there was only 1s, 2s and 3s in the boxes, which I'd say is quite a small broods for barn owls, we do know that there was plenty of food in the boxes. Many of the boxes that we checked yesterday had 2, 3, 4 voles, mice in the boxes, which means mum and dad are catching more than enough food and they're caching it in the boxes with the chicks. So yeah, it may be that wet spell that we've had put a bit of a dampener on this year, and maybe 1 or 2 chicks perished when they were small. So yeah, we'll know more. But of course, all this monitoring that we're doing will basically paint a picture of how the barn owl population is doing. And I keep talking about barn owls obviously because we've just spent a day monitoring barn owls, but the same is for peregrines. You know, I'm involved with a peregrine study that has been going for more than 40 years, which is just incredible in itself. Goshawk studies, and these are some of the species where you might say, well, what's the point in putting a metal ring on a peregrine falcon? The chances of you retrapping it are slim. But don't forget, with a lot of peregrines, they're colour ringed as well, what we call Darviks, and so that way you can see the bird if it's perched. And also we've started doing that in one project I'm involved with goshawks. So a bird that is very, very secretive, then we've got a pretty good chance of getting some sort of answer back on how populations, distribution, survival rates, all these different things are doing. Yeah, sorry Al, I did see your question and then I realised I'd probably answered it. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to butt in, because I did say on my last status that there'll be a lot of waffling, so there will. So yeah, I'm just answering the question of, is there any benefit? Do I think there's any benefit in monitoring and ringing? I think there is. I definitely feel though, and I don't have a problem with people questioning these sort of things. I think we should and we need to. You should always be, certainly when animals are involved, be questioning and you know, thinking about the ethics behind it. I haven't got a beer actually tonight, Sharon. I've just got a glass of Coke actually, and there's no Jack Daniels in it either. So yes, you've always got to think about the ethics that goes into it. Right, Natasha, do you think rodenticide poisoning is affecting broods more? I don't know is the real answer to that. We do know from there's a wonderful organisation called the Predatory Bird Monitoring Scheme. So going back to what I mentioned about if you do see a barn owl dead or any bird of prey that's dead, provided you don't think it's been poisoned, so if it's on the side of the road somewhere like that, then yes, as long as it's safe as well to stop and pick it up, then by all means package it into a box, ring the Predatory Bird up, and they'll send you the box out, and they carry out post-mortems on predatory birds basically. And so yeah, they're looking into this, and I can't remember the percentage, but it's an incredibly high, it's like over 80%, I'm pretty sure, of barn owls that they look at will have some level of rodenticides within their system. And if you think about how the secondary generation rodenticides have been developed now, they have been developed that they don't kill the rodent instantly. So if you put rodent blocks down, rodent bait down, and a rat comes along and nibbles on that, I think I'm reliably told that it can take up to 14 days to kill that rodent, depending on how much I think they've consumed. And so that's 14 days of carrying on running around in the environment for tawny owls, barn owls, buzzards, kestrels, and other species as well, not just avian. So yeah. What do you do if you suspect poisoning? The best thing to do is ring 101, so the non-emergency police line, and try and speak to, or try and get through to your local wildlife crime unit in your area. Whatever you do, do not touch the carcass, whether it's the bait or the poison that animal you think might be, because some of the stuff that is put on as baits, carbofuran, whatever it might be, are lethal to humans and animals. So yeah, if you find something you suspect it's been poisoned, there's images you can find online for these sort of things, especially bait. So I've seen images of rabbits that have been cut open, and they clearly look like they've been laced with something, but they're surrounded by dead flies as well. So well, if flies are landing on it to feed and they're dying straight away, there's got to be something wrong there. But yeah, please be careful. Definitely don't touch it. You need to report it straight away so ring 101 and report it. Take pictures if you can. That's the safest thing to do. Going back to rodenticides, it's a really difficult one, because obviously people are always concerned about public health, but we've got to remember that owls are the natural pest control. So the more owls we have, the better. But just tidy up as well. We had a problem here on the farm this year with it seemed to be we had a lot of rats, but we feed livestock, and it was just a case of tidying up in the end, and just keeping on top of that. So Natasha, in answer to your question, check out the work of Predatory Bird Monitoring Scheme, and anyone else, if you find a dead bird of prey and it's safe to pick it up, then put it in a bag. And the Predatory Bird Monitoring Scheme, you'll find them on the internet. They'll definitely be able to take it off you. So do your little bit part. It's a bit weird, and I know not everyone will be interested in that sort of thing. Now, someone else did send me a question in before I started this, and they wanted to know a bit about the Chester Peregrines. So they wanted to know what's going on with them. You may have seen as well, we've been heavily involved with the Chester Peregrines this year. Sadly, we should have been doing the Peregrine Watch. In normal circumstances, we would have had the Peregrine Watch 2020 running, where we'd have had the volunteers outside Waitrose in Chester watching the 4 peregrine chicks that we know now fledge. But there's been some good things to come out of this year. Obviously, we met Stoke Media, who have the camera on the box. So yes, we now have access to be able to see short clips, and they sent me last year's clips, and so what I'm going to do is I will put together a montage of the peregrines that are in Chester last year, because there's some absolutely wonderful clips they've shared with me. So I'll put them together for you, and I'll share them in due course. But all 4 chicks seem to be fine. We did a news piece for them on, what day was it? Friday, when it was absolutely chucking it down. And you might think it's awful weather for watching peregrines, but it was kind of awful weather for doing a TV interview, because I looked like a drowned rat. And but it was brilliant for the peregrines, because the youngsters were sat still, and one of the adults was sat in her favourite spot near the Queen's Hotel. So we hopefully managed to get some clips. I'm reliably told that is going out on the 6 o'clock news tomorrow on Granada. Feel free to shout if it's already been on, because they said it might change and it might go out earlier. But I'm reliably told there's going to be a short piece on the Chester Peregrines on Granada 6 o'clock news. And you might apologies, you might see a short clip of me talking to the camera on there. So apologies about that. But Chester Peregrines are doing well. All being well, we will bring the Peregrine Watch back for 2021 next year. So now's a really good time. If you live in Chester, get out, go for a walk, and check out the Chester Peregrines, because the youngsters are still learning to fly, still learning from mum and dad. So it's a good time, and they'll be about probably round about till August time, September at the latest. Some of them hang on for a bit. So yeah, it's a good time. But we've seen lots of stuff about urban peregrines, and webcams have really helped people through lockdown this year. So yeah, it's always nice to be involved with that side of things. Someone else asked about Raptor Aid and what we've got planned for the future. So it's a difficult one to answer. Obviously, we always try and have lots of things bubbling away, but only being a very, very small charity with a small amount of resources, we have to be, we have to decide what we're doing. And also what I have to point out to people is there's only 3 of us involved in running it, Raptor Aid, me and 2 other trustees, and it's me that does all the sort of day-to-day running. Blake and Steve are absolutely brilliant trustees, and Steve does all the really difficult sort of accounts and all that sort of boring stuff behind the scenes. So yeah, he's busy doing that all the time. But it's me that does the day to day, and it is difficult. I just pull the curtain to because that sun's right in my eyes. It's really difficult to sort of channel your funds and work out what you're gonna do next. We definitely hope to do some more school work once the schools reopen. Of course, we were supposed to be running our Raptor identification workshop with Field Studies Centre at Malham, but that sadly got cancelled. But we'll be hopefully bringing that back next year. Nest boxes, we've got lots of exciting things planned with Leicester at Peak Boxes, and so yes, we're going to carry on developing nest boxes, and hopefully for September, maybe when the schools go back, we'll be doing something with flat pack boxes, cameras in nest boxes, a whole host of things, just trying to get kids into birds of prey and nature and wildlife. So yeah, we've got a few things up our sleeves, but we'll try and roll them out, and we'll obviously carry on with our monitoring. Will Raptor Aid be busy training a potential new monitor ringer? Well, we're involved with lots of raptor study groups, or I am on a personal level as well as Raptor Aid. We have to be careful. I don't want to make some things sound like they're all Raptor Aid when they're not. I'm on a personal level involved with certain groups. So yeah, I'm always willing to help. I'm always willing to help people get out there and get involved with monitoring birds of prey. So yeah. What would be your long-term aims and ultimate goals if you had more time, staff, money, any expansion plan? What can we do if we wanted to get more involved in Raptor Aid? Right, good question. Well, the ultimate goal for me, I'll probably can I start at the beginning about a bit about where Raptor Aid came from? So I was in captive birds of prey, but I've always been interested in wild birds of prey, and Raptor Aid actually started off as a blog called Raptor Awareness Blog, and I used to just do it in my bedroom while I worked with captive birds of prey, and all I did was I'd share news about birds of prey around the world, and it was quite popular, the blog was, but like anything, and blogs especially, they can get a bit arduous and things get in the way and one thing and another, and so the blog slowed down a bit, but I did enjoy doing it. When I left working with captive birds of prey, I'd done it since I was 18 years old, and yeah, I'd worked with some of the most incredible species and people, individuals, but I really wanted to focus on conservation and the monitoring aspect of it, and so I left working with captive birds of prey and just came home. Came and joined my dad, helping him with the family farm, and it gave me the opportunity to fulfill a bit of a lifelong dream of setting up a charity, something with longevity, not for me to share bird of prey conservation and education, because that's what I really used to enjoy when I was working with captive birds of prey, was the education side of things. So long-term goals, what would be lovely? I would love to have a pot of money where we could offer grants and we could support students doing higher education. I would absolutely love that. And if Raptor Aid became nothing more than a sort of money pot for worthwhile conservation projects, i.e. a student maybe doing a study, a master's on a rare Scops owl somewhere. And I'm not necessarily talking about British students either. You know, if we can support students in situ and ex situ, that would be a dream for me, really. And we have written these things down in long-term plans, that's what we'd like to work to. I suppose what I always do as well is I look at organisations that you hold in high esteem, and one of those has to be the Peregrine Fund. And I remember as a kid, when I was younger, reading the Peregrine Fund blogs and following their websites when they were asking for people to come out and be hack attendants, and they were supporting students, which they still are, in projects in, say, the Dominican Republic, or Asia, or somewhere in South America. That side of things, really, that floats my boat, basically. So yeah, if we had the time, the money. Another thing I'd like to do, just reading staff, but it just would take so much organisation. I don't think I've got it in me just on my own at the moment. Would be to have a sort of a group of volunteers or rangers that go around schools and run bird of prey conservation, but environmental based activities as well. That would be wonderful. To set something else like that up. But obviously everything starts small, and I'm more than happy going in schools doing owl pellet dissections. I love working with young and old people, or older people, in that sort of thing. So yeah, what can we do if we wanted to get more involved with Raptor Aid? I suppose our main aim has always been to be a sort of an access point, or a sort of shop front for lots of other charity organisations. It seems like a really backwards thing to do. Raptor Aid is a charity. We've got to make money. But I must point out that no one gets paid from Raptor Aid. I don't get paid. I pay for things like the insurance myself, I think, still, but it isn't a problem. So yeah, no one gets paid from Raptor Aid. It's not a going concern like that. So the money that's made from nest boxes, donations, it goes towards running projects and supporting organisations like the Philippine Fund. We've donated equipment and stuff like that to them. The trips that I go on abroad, I had someone once say to me, "Oh, this is just Jimmy's trust fund to send him out to the Philippines." It's not. I pay for it all myself. If and I'm well within my rights to say, "Oh well, I'm going out there for Raptor Aid, so Raptor Aid can pay for my flights." No, I don't. I'm not into it for that. I'll pay my own flights, and the money can go towards Philippine Eagle Foundation or other projects that a Raptor Aid are involved in. So how you can help, just get involved and support the projects that we share with you and work with. So Philippine Eagle Fund is a great example. I would much rather you donate money to the Philippine Eagle Foundation knowing that it's going to save or work towards saving one of the rarest eagles in the world, than just giving 25 quid to Raptor Aid for the sake of you wanting to. So in terms of what you can do physically, you can get involved in Peregrine Watchpoint with us. If you have any ideas of, I think I can run a workshop for Raptor Aid, or there's a whole host of things you could probably do yourself. that you feel you could support Raptor Aid, then just get in touch. If you want to get into monitoring birds of prey, that aspect of it, the best way is to approach your local raptor study group and try and work with them. If you're struggling to find someone, just get in touch with us. We've got lots of contacts, so I might know who's there in your area. But yeah, just keep following us. And a lot of people don't realise and forget, and I'm as guilty as anyone, is that when it comes to supporting small organisations or whether it's a commercial business or a charity like Raptor Aid, a like and a share and a retweet and all that can go a long way. You know, I'm always conscious that you never know what's around the corner, and yeah, so that sort of thing. I know it gets a bit arduous after a while with social media, but that is, yeah, that's can be as good as money sometimes for charities. Right, would you ever consider having your own captive birds for education purposes in schools, etc.? No, is the simple answer. We made a conscious, I made the conscious decision that when we stepped away from captive birds of prey, and when we were going to start Raptor Aid, that we weren't going to use captive birds of prey for any of our fundraising, any of our projects. And it wasn't because I'm anti birds of prey in captivity, because obviously I'm not, because yeah, well, I've got some rescue owls here at home that live with me, that I've taken on, and they'll stay here forever. It's probably more because, one, for me personally, my time of working with captive birds of prey was over. I didn't, I'd been there and done it, and I wanted there to be a clear line that we don't keep and own and work with them ourselves as well. We wanted to concentrate on the conservation aspect, and that's not saying that people who work with captive birds of prey, can't help and don't help with conservation. It was just that I pretty much had my time was done working with captive birds of prey, and unfortunately, it can blur the line sometimes. One of the things I did start to do with Raptor Aid was I went down the route of, I like to think I coined this term, poke and stroke, and I really set out to sort of bang the drum for people using birds of prey in what I would have deemed as an ethically unsound way. Handing owls around shopping centres, to potentially hundreds of children for photographic opportunities. And there's a time and a place for that sort of thing. And so I started to make a noise about, legislation and putting a stop to sort of these organisations that carry out poke and stroke. And what I quickly realised was I could literally spend my whole life fighting it, really, and fighting poke and stroke and trying to get legislation changed, and working for, even people were getting in touch with me trying to get Raptor Aid to get opposition companies closed down. And I just thought, no, this isn't what we set Raptor Aid up for. I want to focus on the conservation and the education aspect of things, without it. So we took a step back from that. But interestingly, I am going to go down it another route, those of you, if you're interested in me going full circle, in that potentially I'm going to start a PhD this year, and we're going to look at something along the lines of qualitative behaviour assessments of owls in captivity, alongside some other things. So yeah, we may revisit it, but certainly not as sort of forthright and as outspoken as I was originally about owls being used in that way. So yeah, sorry, I've gone right round the houses there, but that's kind of why we don't work with captive birds at the moment. and we probably never will. And it's also why we don't really endorse it, because it's really difficult as well. That, you know, I've got lots of friends that still work with birds of prey that are brilliant, but you know, I have to be really careful with what Raptor Aid is associated with, just because I can't control what other people do, and you know, and so yeah, we have to protect our name as well. So yeah, that can be difficult at times when people ask us about that. Right, I don't know. Oh, there's 12 people watching. Well, that's a big audience for me. I know it's gone down to 11. I've just upset someone. If anyone's got a question, by all means, fire one in on the comments below. I'm trying to think what else we've been asked. One of the questions I do get asked a lot is by people, how do I get into monitoring birds of prey? And the simple answer is, I always give people the same answer: just get out there. It seems really silly, but just by going out there and watching birds of prey and learning what your local birds of prey are doing, where your local buzzards nest, you don't have to disturb them. You know, what a kestrel sounds like when it's calling. All these different things you'll start to pick up. Today, classic example, you know, I've got a lot of experience now, but stood on the steps and I spotted out the corner of my eye a bird flying that was clearly not a pigeon and it was out the ordinary for what I normally see out on the front yard, and it was a sparrowhawk, and he came down the hedge right in front of me in the end and shot off into the woods. And it's just you know, you pick up that out the corner of your eye because it's out the ordinary. So it's making raptors the ordinary in your eyes, basically. So yeah, get out. Then you can get into raptor study groups. You might be lucky. Try and find someone locally that monitors birds of prey, and just show them that you're keen and you're trustworthy. And yeah, hopefully that'll help you on your way. And like I said, if anyone wants to ask us, then you'd be more than welcome to get in touch, and we'll try and help you as much as we can. Another question someone asked me, I've just remembered it. This was actually a younger person asked me, what's one of my favourite things to do with regards to school projects and the things we do, and it has to be owl pellet dissections. So one of the things we do a lot of is owl pellet dissections. Yesterday I must have collected, I don't know how many hundreds of owl pellets going around the nest boxes. So my freezer is slowly filling up. Not my food freezer, by the way. I've got a separate one for freezing owl pellets. My freezer is slowly filling up for ready for September, hopefully, when the schools reopen and it's safe to potentially go in and visit kids again. But I love dissecting owl pellets because it gives you so much information, obviously, about the owls, but certainly when it comes to the younger generations, but I do it with adults as well, because the adults find it really interesting, is it really opens people's eyes up to the natural world and what's going on around them, and it's just exciting and it's intriguing and it's a bit yucky and a bit disgusting. So yeah, owl pellet dissections are definitely one of my favourite things to do. That, as well as watching birds of prey out in the wild. So yeah, we will hopefully. I meant to do this sooner. We have got all the stuff. We're supposed to start selling owl pellet packs so you can buy them, but it's been just a bit all up in the air at the moment. So yeah, we will be in the very near future be supplying and being able to sell owl pellet dissection kits. Part of the reason we didn't was because I didn't want to roll it out and then us run out of owl pellets, and so I needed to wait for the breeding season so I could get around lots of nest boxes and gather lots of pellets. So yeah, that's the plan with that. Anyway, what time is it? Oh right, okay, it's 5:15. I've been on for 45 minutes now, which is more than long enough. Buy me some quail and I'll give you pellets. It doesn't work like that, Sean. You're supposed to donate me the pellets, please. Yeah. So I need to buy myself some quail actually for the owls. But yeah, so 45 minutes. Has anyone got any other questions that they want to ask? Otherwise, I'm going to hang up. One of our osprey chicks coughed up a pellet on Sunday. Not much to see in that one, I suppose. A bit fishy. I tell you what, though, I would love an osprey pellet. I'm the sort of weirdo that collects that sort of thing, especially to show the kids. And that would be a super thing to show the kids. You know, I'm even thinking now I'd put them in these little plastic vials, so maybe I could drill some little holes in the lid, and yeah, the kids could sniff it and try and guess what bird of prey the pellet's from. I've got long-eared owl, I've got, you know, all the owl species, crow, corvid. I always remember someone had a kingfisher one that had stuck on the end of a branch they'd managed to rescue. They'd seen the kingfisher regurgitate it on the stream. So yeah, I need some more. So yeah, if you want me to get what you call it, a pellet, then yeah, of a kingfisher or an osprey, that would be really good. Hazel, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you're enjoying them. You will probably absolutely love the last one if I can get them on. I'll hopefully announce that soon. Al's got, are you finding it harder to get into schools with their shrinking budgets or struggling to get linked into the curriculum? No, to the curriculum. There's, you know, that's just a bit of imagination. And to be honest with you, I've got lots of friends who are teachers, and I've got a good imagination. And so, yeah, feeding stuff into the curriculum isn't that hard. Funding, yes, that is obviously difficult. You know, I've been to some big posh schools where you think money's not short here, and even they, are having to count the pennies, or so they say they are. And often I find that it's the schools that you want to go to are the ones that are the ones that struggle to afford it. So what I often try and do is get someone outside of the school to fund it potentially for them, and that's happened on several occasions. You know, one of the parents has got a successful business, and they've kindly funded for us to go in and do a workshop with them. So yeah, it's a really difficult one, and it's where I'm not very good at it really, because yeah, right. What we do with Raptor Aid, and if you're a businessman now, cover your ears, but as a charity, and because I'm not dependent on a living from it, is I say to schools, make a donation. If you want us to come in and do a workshop, one of our workshops, or work with the kids, make a donation, what you can afford. And I find that most schools are really receptive to that. So they, you know, if they can afford £100, they'll make £100. The bigger schools, if they will often, you know, donate a little bit more. And then it's sort of down to me. Once I get in the door, I've got to, you know, charm the teachers and head teacher especially, and hopefully, yeah, they'll have you back. And so yeah, but it is definitely getting harder in terms of funding. But you know, that's how it is, unfortunately. Yeah, if anyone can, pick us up an osprey pellet legally, obviously you've got to have a disturbance license if you're checking an osprey nest. I might actually be able to sort myself out, actually, because some of you may have seen that we had Brian Etheridge on from the Scottish Raptor Study Groups, Highland Scottish Raptor Study Groups, and I'm supposed to be potentially going up to Scotland in July to do some osprey work with Brian. So you never know. I may be able to sniff my way around an osprey nest and get my own osprey pellet. Or if I can't go up, I'm sure I can ask Brian. He's used to me asking weird things like, you know, can you send me a pellet? I've got a golden eagle pellet actually as well. That's quite a cool one as well. So yeah. Right, okay. Is there any more questions? Last call. It's I've been on for long enough. You don't need to just listen to me all night. Hi Tracy. Did you hear me say I might be coming up to Scotland in July? So yeah, hope you're all right. And so any more? Any more? The dogs are going absolutely berserk. I've got the dogs sat here. There's Teddy and there's Jojo. So they want my attention at the moment. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, they want to go out. Right, okay. No more questions. I'm going to love you and leave you then, everyone. If anyone does want to ask us anything, as always, Raptor Aid, we're dead chilled out. We're dead open. Please get in touch. What I will be doing with the Q&As, all the ones done, I'm going to try, and thanks Tracy, I'm going to try and get them all uploaded onto YouTube. So not everyone's on Facebook. So yeah, lots more people can tune into it. And someone came up with a brilliant idea. I'm going to try and get them converted into podcasts as well, because there's some brilliant ones, like some that are like over an hour long, which is quite a long time to sit and listen. So I'll try and get them transferred into a podcast. But keep an eye on Facebook. That's the main thing we use to tell people what's going on. So we'll update it all there. All right, love you all. Take care. Keep watching the Raptors. Enjoy the next 2 days because it's supposed to be baking hot. So yeah, always wear sunscreen, as they say in the song. Take care. Bye.